everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Bikini season is upon us, or as I like to call it, I might pick out a one piece and maybe go to the beach, but maybe not season. But this is the time of year when everybody decides to sort of get out and get fit and exercise. But I want to share with you sort of my top fitness tips and share a little bit with you about my own personal fitness journey, which has been long and challenging at times, but I figured I would tell you my story so you kind of know where I'm coming from. I also really wanted to share it because I've seen a few other videos that are like my fitness journeys, and I end up watching them and I'm like, you know, other people are going through so many things that I'm going through, and it really does help make you feel like you're not alone. So I figure if I share with you some of my story as well as some of my fitness tips, not only will you guys pick up a few things that I've learned along the way, but you know, you may be going through the same things that I've gone through, and then we can just kind of share and just be like this big community of support. Basically, my fitness journey and diet and health journey started quite young. I've never been thin. I probably would have been considered obese, maybe based on today's standards. I have a very early memory of being, I want to say about 4 years old, and looking in the mirror and thinking I was fat. It was kind of like this realization that like I was the person in the mirror, and I just cried and was so depressed because I thought I was fat and ugly, and I wasn't. And to think about the fact that at 4 years old I thought that is really odd now, but at the time it was just so real to me. And it's one of my earliest memories, actually, which I think is really kind of sad that one of my earliest memories is of thinking I was fat. And I don't really know where that came from. You know, I don't know if I was just comparing myself to other kids in school who were smaller than me. I don't know if I think I was probably comparing myself more to people that I saw in magazines and on TV, but I don't really know where it came from, really. But I remember thinking that very much. And I think that brings me to tip number one. My biggest piece of advice that I want to share with you is don't compare yourself to others. Like, whatever you do, do not compare yourself to other people. If you spend your entire life, which I spent a large majority of my life trying to look like someone else or like another ideal, and it only led to heartbreak. And it wasn't until I got to be much older that I really accepted the fact that, you know, I am who I am, and all I can do is be the best version of myself. So I would say, you know, fitness tip number one, stop comparing yourself to others. And on a related note, I will say one thing I learned, I mean, I feel like when you're growing up and you're a kid and you're in high school, like everybody wants to kind of be the same, and I always felt different and weird. I would say I developed early, but like I don't think I was ever not developed. Like I look at like baby pictures of myself and I had like little baby boobies, like, and I had like man boobs in kindergarten. Like you know, I was not one of those girls that just like developed overnight. Like I was one of those girls that like was always there and then just got bigger. I was always different from everybody else. It wasn't until I was much older, and I even notice it now, it's like when I complain about, you know, it's like, oh, you know, it's whatever, I can't buy a bra, and like my shirts won't stay buttoned because, and like people look at me like, oh yeah, whatever, you've got boobs, yeah, tough break, like it's, and they get jealous, and I'm like, are you kidding? I'm so jealous of women who, you know, can buy a bra in a regular store, and women that can, you know, wear like plunging dresses or like strapless dresses and don't have like boob fat hanging out. This is getting way too much TMI, I realize. You know, I would love to be, you know, thinner in the middle, but she got much back. I can't do that scratching noise. I guess what I'm getting at is like, again, don't compare yourself to other people, but on a side note, realize that there's probably something about you, as insecure as you may be, or as much as you know, dislike parts of your body, there's something about you that other women wish they had. I guarantee you, like no matter who you are, maybe you have like amazing hair, maybe you have amazing skin, but you feel like, oh, my thighs are too big, or whatever, you know, there's women out there that envy something about you. And there are women out there that may even envy things about you that you think are your flaws. And so at the end of the day, like just accept that like we all think the grass is greener. Like we all think that our bodies would be better if we were, you know, thinner, taller, shorter, fuller, smaller. We all wish we had what someone else had. So just know that there's someone out there that wishes she was in your situation. Bringing me to kind of tip number two, don't try fad diets. Like just don't do it. They can be tempting, but anything that seems too good to be true probably is. I've tried many a fad diet in my day, and I tried my first fad diet at about 8 years old. It was the Slim Fast. For those of you that are my age may remember the commercial, you know, delicious shake for breakfast, another for lunch, and a sensible dinner. And I was a kid and I was like, oh my god, a milkshake! I can drink milkshakes all day and then eat dinner and lose weight. And my mother wasn't totally on board with it, but you know, I was pretty persuasive. So she was like, all right, you know, if you really want to try it, I'll let you give it a try. And because she was worried about my weight. My mother's always been thin. My father's always had a weight problem. I inherited his weight problem. So my mother didn't really know what to do with a kid who was overweight. So she went along with it, and that lasted one meal. I tried it and I was like, this is not a milkshake, and I was just totally grossed out by it. So that lasted, yeah, not very long. So I got to be about 10 years old, and my mother kind of didn't know what to do, and my dad's weight was getting dangerous, and she was thin and didn't really know how to lose weight. So she ended up signing me up for Weight Watchers. And some people might be thinking that 10 years old is young for doing Weight Watchers. It probably is, but my mother needed a place to turn, and she couldn't sign up herself because she wasn't overweight, and she really couldn't convince my dad to do it because he just wasn't going to take the time to go to meetings. This is before they had the online program. This is actually before they did the at-home program, which they did. So this, like, you did Weight Watchers, you had to go to meetings. They were, if you saw the episode of Mad Men where Betty Draper went to Weight Watchers meeting, it was not like that. Like, they did not have a scale in the front of the room where they weighed everyone in front of people. I would not have been on board with that. You went into like a little like cubicle thing, like an office cubicle, and they recorded it, but you could talk about it in a meeting if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. Like, if you lost weight and you wanted to brag about it, you could. If you were struggling and you gained weight, like, it was very private and discreet. So I will say they were very good about that. I don't consider Weight Watchers necessarily a fad diet. I think it's good. I learned a lot of good lessons from it. I lost about 20 pounds on it when I was, you know, between the ages of 10 and 11, which didn't seem like a lot to me because as a kid, everybody else at the meetings, I mean, for me, being like a kid sitting at meetings, I would go after school with my mom, and it was really so she could learn some of the lessons about portion control and what to eat and what not to eat, and so she could take it home and like cook for us, which is why we went. But like, I would go after school, so it would pretty much be like retired people and stay-at-home moms, and I didn't really relate to them necessarily, but I lost about 20 pounds, which again, I didn't think was a lot because other people were losing, you know, like 60, 80, 100 pounds. But as a kid, I couldn't have lost more than that. I mean, I was 11. So basically the way it works is when you reach your goal weight on Weight Watchers, you go through like a maintenance period where you try to maintain that weight, and then you become a lifetime member. So I was a lifetime member of Weight Watchers at age 11, and that has come in handy. I've actually gone back to it several times. I don't currently do it now, but I have nothing but positive things to say about my experiences at Weight Watchers. I think they were always supportive, and they were very good for me at certain points in my life. I went back to them when I was in college, and I ended up losing about 50 pounds on Weight Watchers. So I don't consider that a fad diet. I've tried diet pills twice in my life, and they were both very traumatic experiences, and don't do it. Like, it goes back to the fad diets. If someone promises you a pill that will magically help you lose weight, do not believe it. It's bad. I tried one that made me so shaky. I remember I went to work, and I was working in a hair salon at the time, and I remember I got out of my car to go into the salon, and I realized that I was like shaking, and I didn't realize until later that it was actually like over-the-counter speed that I was taking. It was frightening because I was like, how am I gonna cut hair? Like, my hand was like shaking like that, and I was just like really scared. So that lasted like a day. I mean, that was literally, I just started taking it and I was done. Several years later, I tried Trim Spa because my twin, which people keep telling me I look like Anna Nicole Smith, she lost weight on Trim Spa, and so I was like, wow, she can lose weight on it, I can lose weight on it, and I actually almost collapsed in the shower, which was really scary. Never touched it again. I just, please do not try fad diets. Just eating healthy and exercising is the way to go. If you need help, go to some place like a Weight Watchers or something where there are other people going through it. It really is more of a lifestyle, and I know that people say that and you're like, whatever. It's about a lifestyle choice. Which leads me into my next tip. Seriously, examine your lifestyle. It really is as simple as that. Like, if you're inactive, get more active. You don't have to train for a marathon in order to get in shape. Like, it's as easy as like, go for a walk. If you don't want to commit to joining a gym, you know, there's so many things you can do. There's so many like apps and at-home programs. I still do DVDs. I mean, I'm gonna be doing a post. If it's already up when this video goes up, I will post it below. I'm gonna do a link of kind of some of my favorite workouts. I actually don't belong to a gym now. I take dance classes now, which I love. That's another tip I would say, kind of a spin on this tip when it comes to like getting active and changing your lifestyle. Find exercises that you enjoy. Like, exercise and fitness should not be miserable. Like, it should be something that makes you feel good. Exercise should be something that enhances your life, not hinders it. So if you're doing an exercise that's really making you miserable and like you just like hate your life and hate everyone, then find something else. There's so many different options out there. The important thing is that you just sort of get up and do something, you know. So I really love going for long walks, and I feel like it helps my creative juices. I mean, for some people that might be just way too monotonous and they want to like watch TV on the treadmill. For other people, you know, it might be taking a dance class. For other people, like, you have to go to like a kickboxing gym and like get out all your anger and stuff. Like, whatever it is, try some different activities, especially if you've been inactive. Start slow and try a few different things and find what works for you. The main time in my life when I got the thinnest I've ever been, I decided to enter, I don't know why I did this, but I decided to enter the Miss Massachusetts USA pageant, and I don't know, I kind of gave it a shot. It was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I actually had not put on a swimsuit since I was 11 years old, and here I was, I think I was like 26 or 27, and I was like, I'm gonna compete in a beauty pageant, and I don't even know why I even thought that it was something I wanted to do, but it was just something I felt like I really wanted to do for me. I wanted to try it. Actually, interesting story, which I think will tie into another tip, is have goals. That kind of became my goal and my focus. And I had already lost some weight this was after college, and I had lost about 50 pounds. I had gone a little bit up and down, but I'd relatively maintained a healthy weight at that point. I became determined I was going to get in the best shape of my life. My goal was actually to get to 120, which for some of you may seem like a lot, some of you it may seem like a little. For me, that was just a goal. Like, I wanted to get to weigh 120 pounds. I'm about 5'6", so that's kind of in like a healthy weight range for me. And I had never been that in my adult life. I will be totally honest if you want to have a comparison. When I was in high school, I weighed about 180 pounds, which I remember looking at the stats of the football team, and like the boy that I had a crush on the football team was 180 pounds, and I remember being like, oh my god, I weigh the same amount as my crush. So that was pretty depressing. I didn't get on a scale for a long time. I don't know if I ever got to 200 pounds, but I may have, but I think I probably maxed out in the 190s. That was before I decided to get some help. And that's when I did Weight Watchers again when I was in college. After this, and I had kind of, you know, was working and living on my own, and I didn't go back to Weight Watchers necessarily, but I was just really, really clean about eating. Clean eating became like a big thing. I didn't eliminate carbs completely, but I was definitely lowering my carbs. I was, you know, not eating late at night, and I was exercising insane. This is getting ready for the pageant. I was at the gym sometimes 4 hours a day, like 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, and sometimes I would go for a jog in the middle of the day. I mean, it was really insane. And I mean, I got fit. I don't think I ever actually got to 120. I think the lowest I ever got to was 123, but the fact that I'm like so nitpicky about that just shows you how obsessed I was with that at the time. Again, I achieved it. An interesting story, when I went to pick out my evening gown from the sort of dress shop where girls went to pick out their pageant gowns, I told the woman when I picked it out that I was planning on losing about 15 to 20 pounds, so I didn't want her to do the full fitting then. And she was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, well, I'll just do some of the alterations now. We can always fix it down the road. And when I went for my like final fitting, I had lost probably about 15 to 20, somewhere in between there. And the dress was big, and the woman was in shock. And I told her, I said, look, I told you I was going to be losing the weight. And she just said, yeah, but every girl that comes in here says that. And in like the 30 years I've been doing this, you were the first girl that actually has lost weight. In fact, most of the girls that say that gain weight when they come back. So that for me was a major accomplishment, and it was great that I had this goal, but that kind of leads into my next tip, because that was not sustainable for me. I was exercising too much. It was really my life. I mean, I dedicated my entire life to working out and dieting, and that was it. Like, I really just didn't have anything else at the time, and it wasn't sustainable. And my goal was not being healthy, my goal was looking a certain way. And that kind of leads me into my next tip, which is don't focus on how you look, focus on how you feel. I'm not the thinnest now that I've ever been. I'm maybe not the fittest I've ever been, but I do feel like I'm the healthiest now that I have ever been. And the fact that I am now in my 30s, that sounds weird to say it out loud. I'm on YouTube and I'm in my 30s, people. Okay. I'm actually, I feel like, healthier now than I was in my 20s. Because in my 20s, it was all about eating what people were telling me to and trying to look a certain way. And now that I'm in my 30s, it's about, you know, how do I feel? Like, I want to feel good. In turn, hopefully I might look good, but I want to feel good. That's my goal. And I think that has to be the most important priority for anything. You know, when I sit down to eat something or I'm picking what I'm going to eat, I ask myself, how am I going to feel after? Like, I know how I'm going to feel while I'm eating something, especially if it's something that might be bad for me. But I say, you know, how am I going to feel afterwards? I think that's one of the biggest priorities. And maybe I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to feel like crap afterwards, but I'm going to eat it anyway. And that's fine to do once in a while. But at the end of the day, it's me making a conscious decision. And I think that's the most important thing, is to take control of your own diet and eating habits and your own life and your food, and say, you know what you're putting in your body. Don't mindlessly eat. You know, say, how is this going to make me feel? I know from my own personal experience now that dairy just doesn't really react well with my body. It really affects my skin. Milk chocolate is just, which I don't really crave milk chocolate, so I don't know why I would eat it, but like holiday time and stuff I would. And if I eat milk chocolate, like, you might as well literally like just paste a huge zit right on my face. Like, you might as well just do it, because it's gonna come, like, it's gonna be there. I think that is the priority. Like, all right, do I really want a piece of chocolate bad enough to have to deal with like bad skin for like a week? And it's like, chocolate's not worth it to me. Like, it's just not. Like, it's making the decision. Like, how important is, you know, feeling good? There's another tip I would say is, you know, find out what healthy foods you like. Like, what healthy foods do you enjoy? I mean, I love, to be honest with you, and some people you might be like, really? But I love like a nice fresh raw salad, like with just some like vinaigrette dressing that I'll mix myself. So again, I know what I'm putting in it. I know what I'm putting in my body. I'm not getting like extra salt. It's all about finding healthy foods that you enjoy eating, because then you're going to want, it's the same with exercise. Like, you know, find the things that are good for you that you enjoy. And if you really hate something, don't make yourself eat it. Because, I mean, like for me, like I know the beet craze is like starting to come around. Everybody's like beet this and beet that. And honestly, I've tried beets. I don't like them. Like, I just cannot get into them. It's something about the flavor. I don't know what it is, but I can't. But at the end of the day, like, I try green smoothies. People get grossed out by them. I love me some green smoothies. Like, let me tell you, I have one every morning and my body loves me for it. At the end of the day, it's finding what works for you and what makes you feel good. I'm sure that there's like tons more that I could talk about and tons more tips that I could give you. I figure this has probably been enough information, and this video's probably gotten long enough. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm certainly not an expert, but I have been there, done that when it comes to diet, fitness, health. I've been almost every dress size in the book. I've gone from being a size 22 to I've actually worn a size 0 at some points in my life, usually just skirts and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I've kind of run the gamut. So, I mean, if you have any questions or anything for me about my journey, these tips, if you want to share your fitness journey, I would love to hear from you. So, I'd love to hear anything that you can relate to, or what your story is, or any tips that you might have. So please leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear them. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I have like a ton more videos planned for you. And I'm really trying to amp up this channel, so please subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.